guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today you see me at my table again because today we will do another console cleaning video, and today we have the SEGA Dreamcast. So let's open this thing up and give it a nice cleaning. Let's go. Okay, so let's clean the SEGA Dreamcast. If you saw my video about the N64, I know that there are lots of professional cleaning videos out there using all kinds of special products by experts. My goal is to provide good results with products you can buy at your local stores almost anyway. So let's go. The Dreamcast. First, take the modem out on the side. Should come right off. And on the modem itself, we have two screws, one here and one here. Take those out. Again, the goal of course is to separate the metal and circuit parts from the plastic parts, so we can take the plastic parts to the sink and wash them there. My Dreamcast is a little bit yellowed, but it's not too bad. Comes off. Here is we have the plastic part. Put that aside for now. And here we have the modem itself, metal shell, and the top metal shell and the circuit board. I make one pile of metal parts and one pile of plastic parts for later. And the circuit, it's a little bit dusty, but it's not too bad. We put that aside. Let's continue with the console itself. So the Sega Dreamcast should be way easier to dismantle than the N64. Nintendo consoles usually are quite complicated, but Sega consoles not so much. We have here on the outside, we have 4 screw points, one here, one here, and the last one here. Those are all Phillips head screws. You don't need a special screwdriver like we did with the Nintendo console. Again, use the ice cube tray to organize my screws. The first are those two from the modem, and now one, two, four. Now turn the console around again and just take the lid off. Here you have the insides of the console. Let's start with the lid actually. Put the console aside for a moment. The lids. There are some screws to take out. One here in the back. Two here on this black piece of plastic. Two here by this transparent plastic piece. Let's take those all out. If I remember correctly, the lid is quite complicated of the Dreamcast. Again, different screws than before. As I said in the N64 video, if you got your console from a flea market or from eBay and it is really dirty, then you might want to consider wearing rubber gloves for this cleaning process. There is the metal spring in here. We have to take that out. Just pull on it a little bit and then you have it out. And then there are two screws left underneath. Also have some sort of a metal disc on them. Like that. Okay, now we have this transparent piece of plastic. It's white piece of plastic from the opening mechanism. And we can push the buttons out here and here. Just push it a little bit together and it should come right out. Like so. Power button and the reset button. Then there is, let's see, of course, the lid. A black piece of plastic, a white piece of plastic on the right, and now a, a spring and the lid. So now we just have two pieces of plastic. We can clean later at the sink. And for now, put it aside and get the console itself. It looks complicated at first, but I swear to you, it's not that bad. One detail is here, this black switch back here. You should sure to you should make sure that this is clean, because if this does not work correctly, your console won't start. So first, let's take out the power board. There is a white ribbon, a white cable connected here. It has a little switch on it. Just press it and pull the plug out, because underneath there is one screw here and one screw is here in the front. Take those out. Now the circuit board is plugged in here to here's the connection to the motherboard, but it's just stuck on, so gently pull up and it should come right out. Okay, there is a piece of plastic. Then there are two screws here besides the power switch. Take those out. Those are the same ones as on the power board. And take the power switch out. Let's continue here in the front. Those are different colored screws. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the controller ports. Those have a different color and a different length. So remind to separate them from the other screws. 2, 3, excuse me, 4. So there are 2 ribbons connected from the from the motherboard to the controller board here. This white ribbon here, it's just plugged in. So gently pull it out. Just disconnect it like that. And there's another cable plugged in here, this white one. Just gently pull. Mhm. Pull it out like that. Now the board should come out. Yes, here we have it. This. Okay, then let's continue with one screw here in the front and one screw here beside the fan to get the fan out. Different screws again. And as I said, all screws are Phillips head. I use the same screwdriver for the whole console. Those screws out, but the fan won't come out yet. We have to get further down. Let's take this one out. There are 3 screws around the laser. One here, one here, and one here beside the fan. Take those 3 out. Those are, I think, the same size as before. No, they're a little different. They have different heads. Now the laser should come out. There's a little resistance to it because it's plugged down into the motherboard, but let's see. It's plugged here into the motherboard. So there's a little resistance to it, but it comes out. Does not look that dirty. Then we're still not at the motherboard. Now there are a whole lot of black screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those here on the left, this one and this one, they have slightly different color, but they look quite the same. Take them out and look if they have different length. Now they roll out. Those two other ones on the left side from here and from here actually have a different length. So separate them from the black screws we took out on the right side and on the back side. Now all screws are out and the metal shielding should come off. Here we go. There is also the laser attached to this metal piece with two screws. My laser is not that dirty, so I leave it on there. And here we have the motherboard of the Dreamcast. There's the plastic part of the fan and the motherboard. It should come right out. Yes, this is your Dreamcast here. The bottom metal piece and the bottom plastic piece. This plastic part of the controller ports you can take out, and now it's just a plastic shell. So as I said in the N64 video, collect all the pieces that are just plastic and take them to the sink. You can wash them with soapy water. Use an old toothbrush to really get the dirt out on the corners and the edges, and then put it aside, let it air dry. You can use paper towels, but it's very important to not put the console back together when there's still water in there. In those little screw holes and everywhere there can still be water in it, so let it air dry for at least a day, and be sure to not put it back together when there's still water in there. Okay, I'll do that now. Okay, while the plastic parts are drying, those metal parts, by the way, the parts that are just metal, like this bottom piece. Okay, actually not. They have some rubber thingies up here, so maybe you shouldn't wash it under the sink. This this top piece here as well. There's some rubber up here. So if you want to clean those, uh, maybe not under the sink. Let's continue with the boards. We have the motherboard here. As I did with the N64, I have my blimp here and blow compressed air all over the motherboard, in the ports. You want to get as much dust out of it as possible. Mine is not that bad. Downside as well. Okay, it's the motherboard. Same process with the power board. Extremely important. The motherboard and the power board, as I said, are connected with these six metal prongs here. The metal prongs stick into the six holes down here at the power board and come up here. And if this connection gets dirty, the Dreamcast can have a startup problem. Um, so you want to make sure this connection always is very clean. If you want to, I have another Dreamcast as well where an ODE is installed, and I did some other things with it. And what I did with my other Dreamcast is I bought a new power board from the Behar Bros from Turkey, and it makes this connection here way more solid. So the Dreamcast, so this problem doesn't even occur in the controller port. Okay, now there was some dust coming off of it, but it was not too bad. If you have another problem with the board, you can clean it very carefully with actually, in case of the Dreamcast, I would not recommend it to clean the motherboard directly with I use window cleaning solution and Q-tips. At the Dreamcast's motherboard has metal parts all the way to the edges of the board, and I wouldn't rub the cleaning solution directly on the metal part, so uh, you can use dry Q-tips to go over it to clean it. Okay, the laser you can take apart as well if you like. It has one, two, three screws, but in my case that is not necessary. If you have troubles with the laser, just take those three screws out and again blow compressed air in there. We can do it a little bit here. I might not want to blow air directly on the lens. And now we clean the lens when the console is back together. And so let's get the bottom piece and put this thing back together. Here we have the bottom piece. As you can see, there's no dirt left. It's completely dry. And let's see, let's start with the bottom piece. I need both hands for that. So, as those consoles are built, all of them, uh, the parts come together almost all parts are just fitting in there only one way. So uh, the chances are not that high that you, for example, put in this metal piece upside down because it won't fit. So the metal piece is in there. Do not forget to put back in the controller port plastic in the front because later it won't fit anymore. And the Dreamcast itself, it says Katana here on the motherboard. That's was the original code name for the Dreamcast. You can align it a little bit here in the back by those ports. Does not fit. Why does it not fit? Now it fits. Okay. Before we put in the top metal piece, this one, let's have a look at the fan, shall we? The fan can of course get quite dirty over time. The fan itself is just a piece of plastic, so get yourself a Q-tip, put some window cleaning solution on it, and just clean the blades of the laser like that. I don't know if you can see that, but there is some dirt coming out off of them. Use the other side of the Q-tip to dry them off a little. Maybe repeat the process from the back, and you're good to go. Gross. Then the top piece can go back into the shell. Though this ribbon needs to go through this hole. Keep that in mind. And it sits right into place. We can fix it with some screws. There was two different ones on the left side of this board, and the other ones around here, the back, and on this side were all black. So let's put those back in. And two. Hold on a minute. This can happen. So I won't cut it out. This can happen. I forgot to put this black piece of plastic back in here with the fan. So, no, those things happen. Let's take the screws back out again. And I think in the final video, I will speed this part up. Okay. So now all the black screws are back into place. And also the metal piece by the fan is back in place. Now let's put the laser back in. You can align it by this port. It has to align with this port to have a solid connection to the motherboard. Just align it and push it down a little bit, and it should fit. We have to be very careful with the top part of the laser of the Dreamcast. As you can see, it comes right off. It just only sits there by gravity. It's not secure. This top part is not secured by any screws. Now the laser is back into place. Let's continue with let's secure the laser with 3 screws. One was up here. The second one goes in here. And the third one Those were those screws, by the way. Here between the fan and the laser. Before we clean the lens, let's put in two screws beside the fan. They have a different size. This one's one down here, the other one on top of the fan. Okay, now let's clean the lens. Um, for cleaning the lens, you want to get a Q-tip, put a little cleaning solution on it, and then very gently rub it across the lens and use the other side to dry it off. You don't want to apply too much pressure to it, or else it can damage your system. Just a little bit of cleaning solution, and then very gently, like so, go over the lens. And as I said, use the other side to dry it off a little bit. There is no reason to apply too much pressure to it. That's it. That's enough. If the console is open like that, as I said, this connection here by these 6 metal prongs is really important. So you can get yourself a paper towel or Q-tips. Again, put cleaning solution on it and clean those metal prongs. This Dreamcast I'm cleaning here right now is the Dreamcast I bought in 1999. Hmm. I have another Dreamcast as well. This Dreamcast is unaltered, and I have another Dreamcast as well where an ODE is installed, and I also bought a replacement for the power board by the Behar Bros from Turkey. It's a lot smaller, and this connection here, this important connection, is way more solid. So the Dreamcast is sturdier. Okay, then we continue with the controller board here. If you have issues with your controllers or with your ports, you can put cleaning solution on the Q-tip and go directly into these ports to get some dirt out of them, and use the other side, like always, to clean it off afterwards. And let's put this thing back in. You have to align it a little bit so it fits. Those black parts of the controller boards have to, of course, go through there. So you have to put it in like that, a little downwards first, but you should recognize it immediately if you have it correctly, because it fits right into place. And if you look right from the front through the controller ports, everything looks normal. Let's secure it with 4 screws. There were one on the left side, one on the right side, and 2 in the middle. We do that before we plug the ribbons back in. These longer screws secure the controller board. If you have a good method of organizing your screws, you should be fine. I always use an ice cube tray for that. The last screw to the right. Okay, now let's plug this little white cable back in. It only fits one way. Just don't know how well you can see that on camera. Just push it in and it fits. It's connected again. And now this ribbon goes into the controller port. It's also just align it and grab it with both hands and plug it in. That's it. Should be fine. So how do we continue? Let's put the power board back in. But before that, this piece of plastic goes in here. Not actually sure why you need this. Okay, put the power back in. As I said, you can align it by in the back by the port, and the 6 metal prongs need to go through these white holes. So align it and push it down, and it sinks right into place. Secure it with 2 screws. This one's one down here and one up here. Actually, again, I forgot something. Just take it back out for a moment. We need the power switch because the ribbon should go underneath the power board. Again, it only fits one way, and secure it with 2 screws. One, 2. It works. Now let's put the power board back in. The ribbon a little bit out of the way. And should sink right into place. There is this, before you connect the cable, there is a screw port back here and one here to the front. Let's put those screws back in. Okay. Now we connect this white cable to the power board. Fits very easily. Okay. Now everything is back in place so far. There's one thing I left out. If there is other chunks of dust on your motherboard that won't come off by compressed air, I also have a little brush. It came with an old shaver of mine, and you of course can brush dust and dirt off of the console. Let's put that aside for a moment. Let's put back together the modem. There were the circuit part, 2 metal parts. We have to align that. That's into place. It's a little, excuse me. And the other part It's like that. There are two screws holding this all together. Those were those black ones from the beginning, but the longer black ones, not those from the outside. But of course, we need the plastic part first. And let's hope it fits. I think this metal part is not correctly aligned. Okay, this part fits in right there. Then we need the circuit part. You can align it with the port. And now the third piece. Which covers the whole thing up. It's not incorrectly yet. Why is this so difficult? No, it's in. You can see on the top there is no gap between the plastic and the metal shielding anymore. The port is incorrectly, and now we can secure it with screws. As I said, the black ones, but not the ones from the outside of the console. Those were shorter. Now we have the modem back together, and need some space, put the console out of the way, because the lid of the Dreamcast can get quite complicated to put back together. At first, push the buttons back in from the top. We have the power button here to the left. Just align it and push it in. As you can see, my Dreamcast is a little yellowed. On the outside, the color is more yellow than on the inside. Maybe I do a de-yellowing process someday, but now I don't want, as it is right now, don't want to deal with the chemicals you need for that. Buttons are back in. Turn the lid around. We have this transparent piece of plastic here in the front. Sinks right into place. And those secure it with those tiny screws. These ones. You have to be a little careful with this part because it easily breaks if the plastic is already a little weak because of age. Then we need this white plastic part. It's part here in the front, part of the sort of the opening mechanism. Again, this only fits one way, like that. And I think we can secure it with screws. Those were those strange ones with the disc attached to them. And second one. Then you have this spring, also part of this opening mechanism. There is a hole you have to align with the plastic here, and then just fit it over here. And now, if you test it by pushing the open button, it works. Okay, what's left? Black metal, black metal, yes. A black piece of plastic, a white piece of plastic, a spring are left, and some screws. The white piece goes in here. Okay, first we need to put the lid back on. Then we need the white piece of plastic here. We secure it with one screw. Now the black piece and the spring. This can get a little tricky. Of course, this part needs to go into the lid through here, like that. Fits right into place, but the spring isn't in yet. So take it back out. Okay, now for the spring. That can get a little tricky. I try to show that on camera. There is a little black plastic piece here. You need to get the feather with the spring with the short end on, and align it like so. And it can't go any further. And then you bend it like this and put it back into the lid. That's the opening mechanism, of course. So there needs to be a little pressure on it. If you've done it correctly, try it out. Keep on thumb here. Now the lid works. Secure it with screws. Of course, you need to keep one thumb down or else it will all go off again. One here to the back and one in the front. Only one screw is enough to hold it down, so the second one. Okay, the lid is back together. It works. And we have only 4 screws left. Those are the screws from the outside of the console. So let's get the bottom part. The top should sit right on. If it doesn't fit right away, it can be that the gray cable here is standing out too much, but in my case, it's perfectly. You can try out the buttons. Open button works, power button works. Turn the console around and put the last 4 screws back in. One in every corner. If you never have looked at your Dreamcast that close, you can check which version of the Dreamcast you have. It's indicated by this number here. I have a 1, about about 90% on the Dreamcasts on our planet have the number 1, but there are also ones out there that have number 2 and ones that have the number 0. But I'll talk that another time. The modem, put it back in, and yeah, the Dreamcast is back together, and it's looking pretty good. Now, there is one little step we can take, as I did with the N64. Actually, two extra steps. If your console has scratches or scuff marks that won't come off under the sink, you can use this. This is kind of foam, or it's a very, very fine sandpaper. You can rub it across the plastic, and so scuff marks come off. You have to be very careful with this. If I would rub it here across the logo of the Dreamcast, the logo would come right off too. So be careful with that. And uh, with the N64, in the end I used Pronto to give it a little shine, but we will do that here as well. But be aware of the result. Black consoles tend to look really fine with this nice coating, but white consoles, the effect isn't as great as with black consoles. Shake the can, spray some Pronto on a paper towel, and just rub it all over the console. There is actually a shine, so the sides need a little more. Okay, this Pronto should not take long to dry. Okay, yeah, Dreamcast is done. There is a nice shine coming out of it. Looks pretty good. So that was the console cleaning of the Sega Dreamcast. I hope the video was informative for you. If you want to, please like the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!